Hello and welcome to Your Exceptional Life. Marcus Pierce here with you. Hope you have had a sensational week, whatever it is that you have been doing. Welcome to this new format. I really appreciate the feedback that was given after the last week's episode. Just going through my week through all 8 areas of Your Exceptional Life. Go through life purpose, movement, social life, nutrition, love and relationships, growth, wealth, and your soul, spirit, and faith. Again, the best way for me to help people live this exceptional life is to share what's going on in my life and really what also I'm learning about the principles of an exceptional life. So, without any further ado, let's crack into the week and I'll share with you what's been going on in the hope that it helps you in one or all of your 8 areas of life. First things first, massive thanks to everyone who sent Maya their best wishes. I'm happy to report that Maya is absolutely buzzing along. She is cruising. I think I've got, do I have it here? Not that one. Where is she? There she is. Maya, Blinky Bill, she is absolutely back on deck. She had book week, which a lot of the schools around Australia had, and so Maya was a Blinky Bill there. You can see Darby helping Maya with the glue gun, making the Blinky Bill outfit. So Maya is back on deck. She's recovered from that acute necrotizing ulcerative gingivitis. If you have a child that ever goes through that, I kind of go through a bit of detail in that in the previous episode. But love and relationships, been a big week. Tommy started walking, as you can see here. So he is, you wouldn't say he's exactly up on 2 feet, but he's definitely giving it a shake. And so that's kind of exciting in the Pierce household. But the best thing about my love and relationships this week has been a very simple hour, it probably was, of my week, and I wanted to share it with you really just because of its simplicity, and it really happened once the dust settled from Maya and the gingivitis and not being at school and all the rest of it. So Sarah was, as I said in the previous episode, was not really getting any time to herself, and as a result we definitely weren't getting any time together. Sarah was going to bed probably 7:30, 8 o'clock most nights because she was just knackered, and then I think it was either Saturday or Sunday night just gone where we literally sat on the bed and spoke. You're probably waiting for something else there. But we sat on the bed and did nothing else but talk. We had no phones, we had no TV. I think we had a cup of tea. Sarah's great at doing a dessert at night, so we probably had some koyo with strawberries and bananas or something like that. And something else special Sarah would have put in. Oh, she makes a really mean chocolate cookie with macadamias, dates and cacao powder, 3 ingredient raw choc cookie. So I think she chopped some of them up, put it into a bit of koyo, and we just sat and spoke because we hadn't done it that like quality time for so long, and it was just take a deep breath just thinking about it. It was just so nice to have a quiet home. If you've got kids, you realise how much you appreciate just a quiet home. We didn't have any noise, and it was just us having a chat, really just catching up on each other's lives, really. So we spoke, and it was wonderful fun, and it was just really enriching for both of us. One thing, I just took a note here, one thing that came up in conversation, I don't know how it was, we would have been talking about something, but we ended up just talking about listening, and maybe it was talking about the kids and how they don't listen or weren't listening or whatever. But anyway, I just thought I'd put a bit of humour into the conversation, and I showed Sarah a video that I play regularly at my ELB live events, and I thought, it's on YouTube, it's the most watched video when you search in YouTube for the differences between men and women, and here it is. It's called It's Not About the Nail, and have a little watch or a listen depending on how you're consuming this podcast.
It's just, there's all this pressure, you know, and sometimes it feels like it's right up on me and I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless, and I don't know if it's going to stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever going to stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there...
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing...
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
No, see, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail
See, you're
out.
not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just... Sometimes it's Like, there's this achy, I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
Yeah, that sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you. Ow!
Oh, come on. If you would just...
Don't!
Try to see things my way. Do I have to keep on talking till I can go on?
How cool is it? It's a pretty hilarious video. Well, we think it's funny. People that I show it to think it's hilarious. But more than anything, I like to help people learn through humor and laughter. And Sarah and I just naturally think it's a funny video, because even I, as someone that's very aware of listening, even I have very masculine energy tendencies to sometimes not do a great job at listening and thinking of a solution in the process of listening. And it's a really good exercise to stop, become compassionate, listen. A lot of people call it active listening these days. When I was learning all of this, it was all about authentic listening, just being authentic at the time and not trying to fix or judge or anything else. But that video, you can see why it's been searched and watched so many times. It's because it's a really good example of we face challenges, particularly, some people in the PC world don't want to call this male versus female. Maybe we'll call it masculine energies versus feminine energies. Regardless of how we label it, I think the key here that Sarah and I were talking about, and that I think this video demonstrates, is that we are all equal human beings, but we are all very different. We are equal, but we are different. And the sooner we can appreciate that not everyone is the same, that transcends all areas of life. What it then means is you don't worry about what other people are eating, because we're all different. You don't worry about what jobs other people are doing, because we're all different. You don't worry about the type of houses people live in or the cars that people buy, because we all like different things. And so I'm massive on owning uniqueness, and particularly when it comes to listening. So something to consider: if you consider that you're not the best listener, maybe a task or challenge for you for the week is to really authentically listen. A lot of that is just by zipping it and just nodding. And as I say, I've got my one-liners are wow, that's incredible, far out, gee whiz. And that's just what I say. I say that to Sarah, I say that to my sisters, I say I'm just thinking of women in my life, my mum, my daughter Maya. I'm not there going, don't worry about it. Stop thinking about it. Who cares? Don't make it so big. You're worrying about nothing. They're all judgments. They don't work in relationship, particularly with the fairer sex. When I'm a male and I'm having conversations with a female, generally doesn't work that well with male to male or female to female either. But just be very conscious of your listening skills. Again, in schools and growing up, we get taught to read, we get taught to write, we get taught to speak, but we do not get taught how to listen. And so it's the one communication skill we are never taught. And generally speaking, without sounding too judgmental, we don't have the greatest role models and mentors around listening. So a lot of the time it is self-led, and I encourage you to do it. So that's love and relationships for the week. Let's talk about movement. Now, there has been quite a bit of feedback into the 100 push-up challenge that I spoke about last week that I'm doing. Now, you don't have to get into push-ups. There's a really great principle that Tony Robbins, one of my mentors, I love Robbo's work. If you haven't seen the blog that I've written about spending over 150 grand on personal growth, a lot of that money has been with Tony Robbins. But he talks about constant and never-ending improvement. Constant and never-ending improvement. Every day of your life, you are looking to constantly and never-ending improve. And Robbo will talk about coming from the principle called Kaizen in Japan. A lot of people these days fail to attribute either Kanai, constant never-ending improvement, to Robbo, or Kaizen. They just kind of make it up as if they came up with the idea. It's been around for many years, but let's just be clear here. You don't have to go on a push-up challenge. I've got links in the show notes to a 30-day squat challenge. You might really want to get the squats going, leg strength, butt strength, just everything, lower body strength. A plank challenge. Thank you, Pinterest, for putting a lot of them up there. I've put a link into many plank challenges. Very good for the core. I know we did that with the wellness couch once. We just did did a 30-day plank challenge in a closed group, and that was a lot of fun. Yoga with Adrian, one of my favorite YouTube yogis. Yoga with Adrian. Adrian does a 30-day yoga challenge. I've put a link to that in there. I'm into push-ups. I'm loving it. I started at 23 as my max, then I've gone up to 30, 35, and now I'm up to 41 push-ups is my max. And it means the way this challenge works out, I'm doing over 1,500 push-ups per week. I might be up to 1,600 plus now, and I'm feeling great. I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling full of vitality. And so I think I've maybe got it, have I got it here? Oh, yep, I've played that video. But, you know, I've been going down to the beach. Don't know if that's playing or not. No, maybe it's, yep, going down to the beach. And I do my push-ups on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday down at the beautiful beach. It is stunning down there at the moment. And then Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I do them at home. So that's what I am loving at the moment. That's movement. Nutrition. Now, one thing I haven't told you is that we shop at the market, New Brighton Farmers Market, every Tuesday morning. I duck down there just before 8 o'clock and get all the fruit and veg there. So we've got a very strict budget on food in Pierce family because we are massive foodies. If we don't have a budget, like even the biggest and best companies in the world have budgets. If we don't have a budget for our food, we would spend a bomb. Now, some people think we already spend a bomb. I think it's pretty okay. We spend $400 a week on food. $200 goes to the market. It's fruit and veg. $100 goes on meat pretty much, and $100 goes to dried goods and that type of stuff. But I take $200 cash because if I took any more, I would spend it. If I took other means of money, I'd find ways to spend it. I take $200 cash. But here's what happens at Pierce HQ. We let the food run out. We don't go and top up if we've got if we're running out of food. We just get super creative. Now, some people think that's ridiculous because it's just so easy to go into the supermarket or the butcher and all of these things. But you know what? I love the creativity. It's very old school, particularly if you think of when we used to live off the land. If you'd run out of strawberries or you'd run out of potatoes or you'd run out of lemons, you didn't go into the supermarket to buy more lemons or buy more potatoes. You just made food with what you had. And so even though it's eggs and greens every day, have I got a photo here of eggs and greens? Where is it? No, I don't know if I do or not. But even though, I don't know, no, there's some other things, I'll talk about that in a moment. Even though it's eggs and greens, you know, every day of the week, if we're running out of eggs come Sunday or Monday, instead of 6 scrambled eggs, it's 4 fried eggs, 4 eggs in an egg ring, all right? One egg each, and Tommy gets the dregs of every one of the 4 eggs. Sorry, Tommy, but that's how it works when you're 15 months. Instead of 6 scrambled eggs. Now, it's not because we can't afford it, and it's not because we don't, what's the other word? Not because of any other consumerism stuff. It's just that I like the challenge of almost aristosing with what we have in the kitchen. It's just a good idea to cultivate some different thinking every now and again. And so, just something for you to consider. I don't know your shopping routine. If you shop every 2 or 3 days, I think you're mad. Honestly, I think it's a waste of time. I think it shows a lack of planning. I think it just... Personally, it would infuriate me if I was at the supermarket. I know people that go every single day. Again, I just think one shop a week. Sarah goes to 3 places: Santos Organics, the butcher. I go to the market. Now, look, I'm not saying that is the way to do it. From a productivity perspective, though, knowing how precious life is, if you're spending, 3 or 4 hours a week just on the shopping, let alone the cooking, I just think there's many other things that you could be doing with the time. So just food for thought. How creative do you want to be with your food and your buying habits and everything else? A couple of food highlights for the week. That is a pizza that Sarah made from the Merrymakers cookbook. Thank you, Marys, for that. It's the first time she'd made it. It was an absolute hit. And I'll put a link to that book in the show notes. Sarah just makes a lot out of Emma and Carla's book. So thanks, girls, for that cookbook. You have done an incredible job. And that's chicken Caesar salad that I'm pretty sure Sarah made from scratch with, if you don't mind, a Koyo dressing there, which again, I think she Googled or found it. I don't know if I've got the links for that, but just had to put that in there. Again, you can see May has well and truly made a great recovery because she is absolutely flying there. All right. Productivity. Now, every now and again, I'll add a productivity element to this podcast. or this video if you're watching it. This week there has been a focus in my life on a siesta. Now when I came back from Ikaria, the Greek island known as the island where people forget to die, for our 100 night out longevity experience last year, I came back going, right, siestas are going to be a part of my life. I've observed them here on Ikaria. I've enjoyed them here on Ikaria. I'm going to go home and make siesta a part of my life. And look, naturally when you learn something new, it was there, you know, maybe for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, but then it stopped being the norm. It wasn't a major part of my lifestyle. Since I have started waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to write my book and exercise at 6 and all of those things, I've noticed my energy just flagging a bit more early in the day. So rather than being, say, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I often set an alarm to freshen up about 3 o'clock. Naturally, sometimes after lunch or 1:30, 2 o'clock, I've been feeling quite just tired. And so, isn't it interesting? If I'm tired, maybe I do need sleep. I've been doing more push-ups, I've been moving more. And so 2 or 3 times this week, I have had a siesta. I've had an afternoon nap, about 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes. I've got a bed in here, so my office is also the guest room here at PSHQ. I'll come and lie on the bed. I'll play my favorite music from the shift. As you know, I like to play that a lot, and I will just lie down and bliss out. And what I've noticed is I've thoroughly enjoyed just having nothing else to do but breathe. I've thoroughly enjoyed sometimes dozing off, sometimes not. Sometimes I have drooled on the pillow. TMI maybe, too much information, but sometimes I have just knocked myself out and it's been a great nap. Other times I've just laid there and thought, or just let thoughts come and let thoughts go. But here's what I've noticed. At either midway through or near the end of every one of those siestas, the challenges or problems of my day that I've been working through, or maybe hitting a brick wall with my head, I've been able to find solutions to them. And so I finished that siesta not just going back to the same problem, but either going back to that problem with a better mindset, or realizing that I don't have to do that now. It could be right action, wrong time. This is not something that needs to be done at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Often the stuff that I've been working on, which has been frying my brain, is actually work that I'm better suited to doing in the morning. I'm very aware these days of how much energy I have in the morning versus how much energy, enthusiasm I have in the afternoon. So I base my days around that. I remember recording a podcast with Lawrence Tam about this on Inside the Champion's Mind. We both said that we would only do our mentoring calls, our one-on-one calls, in the afternoon. I only catch up with coffee for people in the afternoon, because in the morning I am so self-led, so independent. I don't need and I don't want actually a lot of communication with other people in the mornings. There's stuff I want to do. I want to eat my frogs. I want to do my big tasks. But in the afternoon, being with other people is it's energizing, and it renews enthusiasm. But a siesta is another way to put petrol back in the tank. And so I've really enjoyed doing that this week. Again, some of you may be watching or listening to this going, well, I've got kids, or my workplace won't allow that, or that's just not feasible for my life. I'm not here to say whether it is or it isn't. I'm just sharing with you what has worked for me this week. All right, growth. Now, you know I am reading Mastery by Robert Greene at the moment. I haven't read heaps of it this week, but the one part that has really stuck out for me this week in my reading is the focus of apprenticeship, or an apprenticeship. If you want to master something, in the old days you would do a 7-year apprenticeship, whether you were a bookbinder or a baker or a builder, whatever it is. An apprenticeship was just a natural part of mastery. In fact, when you finished your apprenticeship, you were no longer known as an apprentice, you were known as a master. Greene draws upon this wonderfully using examples of Da Vinci, Darwin, a scientist named Faraday, really goes into his life, and got me thinking just that so many of us these days have, 3-month certification programs, laptop lifestyle, overnight success stories. And I'm not here to talk about my own apprenticeship. It's been long, and I'll share that in a whole nother podcast. But reading this book has given me, and I'm sure it would give you, if you're interested in this topic, a great opportunity to reflect on life and discover where my apprenticeships have laid. It's been interesting that my careers, as I've said before, I'm pretty much in my third career. My two previous careers have been about 7 years in length, and I do find that interesting. A lot of Chinese philosophy talks about 7-year cycles and the rest, but it's no coincidence in my mind that a good old-fashioned apprenticeship would go for that length of time, but a lot of people would not have the patience to live 7 years learning, having a mentor to actually learn and grow from. So consider it, and also consider how many masters these days have truly done an apprenticeship, and you realize that it's a dwindling number, but don't make that mean that it's no longer necessary. All right, want to share with you a bit of social life this week. First things first, we have some great friends, Ali and Pete, coming over tonight. Ali is Sarah's best friend from Chiropractic College. If it wasn't for Ali, I would not have met Sarah, and so very excited on a social front to catch up with Ali and Pete and their beautiful kids tonight. But one thing which I really want to share with you, and it might seem insignificant, but for me it was just a reminder of how important it is that yesterday my brain was fried. I was definitely working on tasks which did not need to be done at that time of the day, and that was consuming my energy. I just, I realized probably a little bit late that, you know what, this is just so not for now. Do it another time. I've already got it scheduled to be done Monday morning, when I will be hot to trot, and the ideas and the creativity for what I'm working on will get done. And I knew I needed to get a haircut. It was either going to be Thursday, Friday, or Monday, because I'm off to Adelaide to speak for Dr. Brett Hill on Tuesday night. So I knew I had a haircut. You can see I've already got it. And yesterday was the day. I'm like, you know what? Stuff this. My brain is fried. I'm not going to get any good work done here right now. I'm off to get that haircut. Go to my favourite hairdresser, barber, I should say, Jack the Snipper. The owner, Paul, dead set legend. I love Jack the Snipper for a number of reasons. One, they serve you a Stone and Wood beer when you get your hair cut. Stone and Wood, best local beer going around. Two, the hairdressers, the barbers there are great conversationalists, so I love a chat. And I needed to not let off some steam, but I just needed to not think about work. I was happy to talk about work, but I just wanted to be in that environment. So I went in there, had my hair cut, had a good chat to Paul, had a beer, and you know what? Got in my car and I was just so happy. I was like, that was just so invigorating, and I could not have had that invigoration from a siesta. That wouldn't have done it. Not from going on social media, not from meditating, not from having a green smoothie or any type of superfood. The superfood I needed, the nutrient of social interaction with other human beings who I enjoyed being around, was the panacea to what I was experiencing at that point. And it was just another reminder how important it is to socialize with people that energize you. That social experience was energizing. You know my dad joke, socializing is energizing, ... when done with the right people. And that experience at the barber yesterday, not only did I get a good haircut, if I don't say so myself, but I enjoyed a great social experience. And so just consider in your life, when your energy's down, when things aren't necessarily humming along and flowing, maybe you need to break that state and interrupt that pattern by socially engaging with people that mean a lot to you. All right, wealth. Now, I spoke on the previous episode about getting really clear on assets, liabilities, income, expenses, what many people would call your financial statements. I am hot to trot on this at the moment. Every week, maybe every fortnight, but I've been doing it weekly recently. And I only want to share this with you just so you can understand or appreciate just the power of clarity. Now, only in the last week, having done one the week before and having done one the week before that, Pier's family net worth has improved by 15K because money's come in, a tax bill was paid off, and so liabilities are now reduced, assets has now improved, and just in the space of a week, there's 15 grand. Now, for some people, they earn 15 grand. I've got friends, I've put down here, I've got friends that earn 15 grand in 1, 2, or 3 days, and I've got other friends that earn 15 grand in 2 or 3 or 4 months. Doesn't matter. It's not about the number. It's just about the clarity. It's nice to have the clarity, to know where you are. If there's 10 people watching this, 9 of them have no idea where they are. If there's 100,000 people watching this, 90,000 or probably really 99,000 of those people would not know their net worth right now. Their assets minus their liabilities, that's on a longer term scale. Their income minus their expenses. Again, most people are spending 151% of their income, right? but whether they actually know that or not, are fully aware of the number and how to go about it is a whole different story. So you know me, I am massive on the devil is in the detail with your exceptional wealth. If this is really pricking at you, if the pinprick is in your arm right now and you're going, ow, that is hurting, because you know it's true, I have 3 recommendations for a book. I've already been speaking about mastery. Here are 3 of my favorite books on exceptional wealth. And the reason why I love them is 2 of them are very old. No, one of them is very old. Sorry, Bob Proctor, yours isn't that old. The Richest Man in Babylon is very old by George S. Clayson. That'll cost you about $8, and you'll read that in a day. Wonderful book. You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor is probably 15 years old, maybe, Bob. And Tony Robbins' book, Money, Master the Game, was written maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and the philosophies are exactly the same. And this is what I love about core financial wealth. When you can find books and find a message, as you know me, journalist by trade, I'm always looking for a pattern. When you read a lot and you see the patterns, then you begin to follow that pattern. And so I really recommend, if the pin has been pricked and it hurts, read 1, 2, or 3 of those books to really get the ball rolling and get clarity on where you are right now. All right. Well, there's 2 more areas of your exceptional life to go, and that is spirit and life purpose. And for this section of life purpose, I want to share with you the story of Yisrael Kristal. It is an RIP Yisrael Kristal, because Yisrael was the oldest survivor of the Holocaust up until his death recently, aged 113. Yisrael Kristal was also the oldest man in the world. He was a month shy of his 114th birthday, and he has an incredible story. Yisrael Kristal, born in Poland, married, had 2 kids. The Nazis came along with all of their views. The Holocaust occurred. Yisrael lost his wife, perished in the Holocaust. His 2 children perished in the Holocaust. Yisrael survived because he did what he loved and he loved what he did. And what did Yisrael Kristal do? He made confectionery. He was a lolly maker. He loved confectionery, he loved making it for other people, and the Nazis loved their lollies as well. And so Yisrael had a lot of value to the Nazis, and so Yisrael survived. He survived, albeit he walked out of Auschwitz at 37 kilos, 81 pounds, mind you, but he was alive. He moved to Israel. Yisrael moved to Israel. He remarried, had another 2 children, restarted his confectionery business, taught many other people how to make confectionery. It was the love of his life, and more importantly, on a spiritual level, obviously very dedicated to his religion. He forgave and became at peace with what happened in his life. He had a very positive outlook on life. He was grateful to be alive. He knew that he had major anguish in his life, but he was at peace with his life. And I tell you now, it still, to this very day, seems to be that the people that live a great long life have an incredible outlook on the events, both past, present, and future of their life. They don't carry around pessimism in their backpack of emotions. They don't carry around hate in their backpack of emotions. And as Alice Hertz Sommer, the oldest female Holocaust survivor, said, I have no room for pessimism or hate. And when you look at so many people in their privileged first world carrying pessimism, cynicism, and hatred in their life, you really got to wonder, as my mum likes to say, some people need a tragedy in their life to really get perspective on what's important. Now, I know if you heard that and you're going, ouch, that's brutal. I know it's brutal. My mum is so un-PC, it's not funny. But some people need a tragedy in their life, when you think about it, to really get perspective. And if you've had a tragedy in your life, you will know what I'm talking about here, because all of a sudden you get perspective on what's really important in your life. And so Vale Yisrael Kristal, you wonderful man, thank you for the example that you have shared for all living beings out there to truly live an exceptional life. Don't you think it's an interesting cosmic joke that the oldest human being ever to live, Jeanne Calment, the French woman, 122 years, 164 days, smoked for 95 years, drank port wine, and ate a kilo of chocolate every week. And then up until recently, the oldest man ever to live made lollies for a living? They weren't on green juices or smoothies. Fascinating. Look, really hope you've enjoyed this episode of Your Exceptional Life as much as I've shared, as much as I've enjoyed sharing it with you. Would love to know what you've learned from this. What are you going to apply? Has there been any gold nuggets in here that you are going to take into your life? Copy and paste anything I've shared here into your life. That's why I share this. I recognize there's a lot going on in my life, as I know there's a lot going on in your life. If any single human being shared their week, I think we'd all find it fascinating. So I really hope you have enjoyed this episode. Email me, marcus@marcuspierce.com.au. I will do whatever I can to reply. Hit me up on social media at marcusdpierce. Reply to any comments on the blog. Go to marcuspierce.com.au to see any links to the books or the YouTube videos or anything else that I've referred to in here. I'll make sure the blog is fully linked. And until next time, as always, continue to make the rest of your life the best of your life. Bye for now.